Before we get into the video, remember to comment, like, subscribe and turn on notifications. r/entitled-parents. Neighbors hold a barbecue and judge that since we have a big house, we need to buy all the food and drinks for a barbecue with 35 plus people coming, which we know none of. Posted by u/undercover_loli. This will be a long story, you have been warned. Don't complain about it in the comments, but I will include a TLDR at the end for those of you who hate reading. My last post reminded me of this incident which happened months after we moved into our new house that I will admit, is pretty large. We bought it for a ridiculously low price though, since the last people who owned it were about to lose it to the bank and had the house up for sale for over a year, and had lowered the price to half of its original amount. We have 8 people living in the house currently and it has 9+ acres, if that gives you an idea of its size, but we live in a large spread out neighborhood and people call our house the hotel of insert neighborhood. My dad's grandparents live with us and wanted several rooms to themselves, hence why we got the big house, and they initially said they'd pay for half the house but never did, leaving my parents in a bit of debt and us tight on cash. Important later. More about my entitled lying grandmother in the description. EB equals entitled bitch of a mom who hosted the barbecue, S equals her son, Lily equals my angelic fluffy Great Pyrenees dog. So we move in and about 5 months go by and we are invited to a barbecue party with nearly 40 people attending. We say we want to come since we want to make friends and nobody approached us since we moved in. We guessed it was because of the last people living there maybe being antisocial, but we'd also had a lot of police visit us since we moved in because of my sister and her boyfriend. We received the invite to a welcome to the neighborhood barbecue for us several weeks before the date of the party. A bit short notice, but it's a weekend so my parents can make it but us kids aren't, since we are visiting my other grandparents several hours away that weekend. A few days before the party, my parents get a call from the people who will host the barbecue. We have no idea how they got our number at all, and they ask my parents to get burger meat, hot dogs, buns, and a dozen-liter bottles of soda and the alcohol for the party, everything non-GMO. My parents refuse since that could easily go over $100 or $2 and the host goes nuts. EB cuts her husband off and says we need to be more generous, and my parents say we are tight on cash at the moment from paying off the house. EB, don't even try to lie with that bullshit. We know that you guys are drug dealers with all those police constantly at your doorstep. You said you'd come to the barbecue and you will pay for the meals. If you don't, I'm telling the cops we have evidence you're selling crack. My parents heard us say something along the lines of, Mommy. Make them bring hot dogs and burgers. I want hot dogs and burgers. And Mountain Dew. They heard unintelligible screaming after that from the kid in the background. EB, you heard him. Bring enough organic hot dogs and burgers for 40 people to have a hot dog and burger each with the buns and condiments, and bring lists of 6 brands of soda including La Croix, Mountain Dew, and Squirt, then lists of some douchey alcoholic drinks. My parents said something along the lines of fuck off and then hung up on them, and then that weekend, they went with us to my mom's grandparents. We did get a visit from police after the barbecue happened, and apparently, everyone starved from lack of La Croix and burgers, but they said some annoying woman who abuses the police line said we sell the crack, and we let them take a long walk through our house and see we don't have the biggest crack heroin lab in insert our state. We explained the situation to the police and told them that EB threatened us after accusing us of being drug dealers after all the calls regarding my sister and her BF. And this was after we kicked out my sister and her boyfriend for like a 3rd time and they weren't here, luckily. But I think EB got fined for abusing the emergency line with false accusations, especially since she never gave them the evidence we sold crack. They don't bother us anymore, but we did get a call from EB after the barbecue saying we ruined their barbecue for being selfish assholes and not doing them a big favor like that, and we shouldn't have taken their joke so seriously and made the police come after them, because that's really rude of us. We talked to another neighbor who actually hates EB because she throws fits whenever anyone has better landscaping or better looking houses than her, and she talked to the people she knew around the neighborhood about throwing a big party for her son's 4th birthday with all his friends and their neighbors coming, but she'd invite us since we had a big house and wanted us to pay for the expenses of the expensive organic and non-GMO food they wanted. The only reason she didn't ask us to bring a cake was because then we'd know it wasn't a welcome to the neighborhood party like she told us, and we'd be less likely to bring the food and drinks. We see her walking past our house a lot with us, shooting us dirty looks, but we have some big Great Pyrenees dogs that absolutely hate her and bark at her and her kid when they walk by, and they scare the shit out of her son and make him cry because he screams at them and throws sticks and rocks at them. Recently, she called animal control on us for aggressive animals that endangered her son and tried to maul him, but we have security camera footage. When we went on vacation and hired a dog sitter to come twice a day, of us climbing over our 8-foot fence weeks prior. Now he's about 10 or 11, pulling on one of our girl Pyrenees dog Lily's leash he unhooked from her doghouse and trying to tug her outside of our gate, that opens outwards, and onto the road where EB had her car, but Lily struggled. And when he hit her head with a closed fist, then she yelped and bit him hard. S screamed and struggled to get the gate open, not knowing the code, obviously, and S actually used her car while screaming and pushed the gate backwards from its intended opening direction with the front bumper of her car. This actually broke the motor that came with the gate when we bought the property, which costs about $900 since it hooks up to a small solar panel, and she knocked that off and shattered it from the motor being completely fucked and somehow shaking the big metal pillars that held up the panel. I'm not including the price of the gate being unbent or being replaced altogether either. Then she reversed the car before running into our yard and grabbing her kid, who was still holding on to Lily's leash by the way. She kicked Lily several times, who has never ever showed any aggression other than protecting herself from being punched in the head, and ran to her car after her kid dropped the leash. We come home from a call from our dog sitter telling us someone broke into the front yard and maybe our house, and that Lily is bleeding from her forehead and the side of her ribs, and our dog sitter is thinking she got shot or something, so we race home. No, EB just kicked her with her heels and cut her skin from kicking her so hard. We take her to the vet to get stitches and go over our camera footage, only to find some familiar faces on the screen. We called our lawyer and have the footage of her doing that whole incident, but also videos of her throwing rocks and sticks at our dogs every day since then, and we will be suing her for attempted theft of or pet animal abuse, medical expenses from the vet fixing up Lily, breaking and entering our gate I guess, trespassing, and intentional vandalism of our property. Edit, I realize some of these aren't suable crap, but criminal charges. I mixed them in because of my ignorance, but what I mean is she will be charged for them and then we will sue her for the others. My bad, I only heard it from my parents after they contacted their lawyer. I will update if anything happens or if we decide to settle this out of court, but we likely will not. EB didn't come to us about our dog biting her son, probably since it will be an admittance of guilt, but we did see it draw blood from his arm when Lily bit him, so we are expecting her to maybe countersue us for medical expenses and emotional trauma when we send her the summons to court or whatever they call it when you sue someone. I might post a picture of my fluffy dog Lily since she is the most happy and smiley dog ever. We bought her with the intention of protecting our few sheep, but she mostly just plays with them and doesn't act serious since she's a big puppy, and we never trained her, so she's mostly a pet now. TLDR, Bitchy neighbor accuses us of being drug dealers since we have a big house, threatens us with fake evidence so we will pay several $100s for food for her son's birthday party she invited us to, then gets mad when we don't buy the food and report this to the police. She later tries to steal our dog, kicks her, and breaks our gate with her car after her son climbs the fence and can't get out. Update, not the trial or anything, but more importantly people were spamming me in my PMS for pictures of my dog and many in the comments wanted me to pay the dog tax lol, so here is an Imgur post with Lily and her extra toes. Also thank you for the platinum and gold, whoever you are. Never thought it would get that, but I still appreciate you guys for thinking it was that good. Link in description. Thank you for listening my children. Please leave a like and subscribe and ring my bell sack to stay updated with my videos as they come out. Love you, bye.